With a 9 out of 10 satisfaction rating, it's clear why Storin is the herbicide customers can count on. But don't just take our word for it. Ask your Syngenta retailer or visit storeandreviews.com to read testimonials from Storin users near you. Always read and follow label instructions.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services Walk-In Clinic can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. Instructional coaches are a growing need in community school districts, and Clinton is planning to utilize them starting next school year. Superintendent Drew Goebel indicates that the districts are turning to instructional coaches more and more. He believes that they can be a great resource as they navigate all the responsibilities that come with being a teacher.
Instructional coaches, they are not new to the area. They're new to Clinton. A lot of larger school districts have had instructional coaches for many, many years. Even now, the schools that are our size, I know Olympia, which is very comparable to our demographics and how big we are, enrollments, they have instructional coaches. So it's an additional resource. It's really what it comes down to. Teachers are pulled in so many different directions. Like today, CES has data days, and they are going over student data. They're looking at student achievement, and there is just so much. The expectations on teachers, it just piles on more and more. So an instructional coach is somebody that it's not a fix. It's not because teachers are bad. It's an additional resource. They're not an administrator. They are not evaluating a teacher. They are an instructional coach is part of the Clinton Education Association. So they're part of the teachers union.
According to Goebel, the term coach in the job title is somewhat misleading. He hopes there is internal interest in these positions because of the quality of teachers they have in the district.
I almost wish the word coach was not the word, because you think of the coach telling the players what to do. In a traditional sense, that's kind of how it is. If you look at the hierarchy, the coach is in charge, and then they tell the players what to do. But that is not what instructional coaches. Like I said, I can't change the word because that's what people call them. But it's not that. And I even think that following this radio interview, I'm going to be sending out the job descriptions to the certified staff so they can see exactly what the job is. But with that, I'm sending out an informal letter, an email that kind of explains things in a more casual way than just the job description. So I'm hoping that we have internal candidates. We have an amazing group of teachers in our district, and I know that we have many teachers currently that would make great instructional coaches. So I'm hoping we have internal interest.
He hopes to have these individuals hired soon so they can begin to get to know the staff of each building and also participate in the professional development required for this role.
That will start next year. From the time that we get them employed, we want to make sure, and I said this last night, I want to make sure that person who is the instructional coach is ready to go when we start school in August. So there'll be professional development probably even this semester and then throughout the summer. So whoever does apply for it, just know that there is professional development to help you be able to do that job. And fortunately, because we are surrounded by other districts that have instructional coaches, we want to make sure that they get teamed up. So there will be opportunities to make sure that they hit the ground running and they know what they're doing, because there is nothing more frustrating than being thrown into a job and you don't know what you're supposed to do. That is irritating. So I want to make sure that whoever does this position feels good about what they're doing and they're not just guessing. And you know, and even throughout, there'll be supports in place.
The district will be hiring instructional coaches for Clinton Elementary School, Lincoln School, and a K-12 special education instructional coach who will also be an outplacement coordinator as well. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, outlooks indicating a wet spring may be ahead. Monticello High School is making strides in connecting students and creating an accepting community. Principal Travis Corson told the Heart Media Group on the WHOW High School Road Tour Monday that they have created a course called Unified PE. He says this pairs general education students up with life skills students in a comfortable and fun setting.
The one course we have right now is we're calling it Unified PE, even though we're not a unified champion school just yet. And there's a whole process that I won't go in on that. But the Unified PE basically is we have our life skills classes with our students. And what we do is we have them in PE class, and then we have gen ed students in that class as well. And the idea is that we pair up one-to-one gen ed student with our life skills student. Our life skills students are the athletes, and then our gen ed students are their buddies. And the minute they walk into class, they pair up with their buddy and conversations begin to happen, right? And then throughout the class, they're working on skills that you would normally work on in PE.
Corson feels that the most valuable part of the program is the social benefit for both the gen ed and life skills students. He notes that they see a lot of growth in students through this program.
But the one really neat thing about this is the social skills and the social aspect that has come out of this class. It opens up a lot of doors for both students.
Yeah.
Not only life skills, but gen ed. And we're seeing a lot of growth in that. Again, this was our first year, so we're not quite where we want to be, but it's something that we're really proud of. When I first was hired, I kind of jokingly said to somebody, they go, what are you going to change? And I said, my goal is just not to mess it up. I mean, because we are very lucky to be in this district. You know, I've been in other districts that are also solid, but Monticello there's something unique about us. And that's why we call ourselves Unique Monticello. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of reasons to get behind our schools, and there's a lot of reasons to show that support.
The high school is taking steps towards better preparing juniors educationally and emotionally as they get ready to take the SATs. And we'll have more on that with Corson in the days ahead from the Heart Media Group. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
It's time to celebrate winter. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have extra savings on all new Chevrolets this month to celebrate the winter season. See our inventory of Chevrolet Trailblazers, Blazers, and the Efficient Trax. We also have a good selection of our 7-passenger Chevrolet Traverse and Tahoes. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. See our winter celebration savings at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
News time is 18 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Plan on a wet spring in central Illinois. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates the outlooks for February through April have equal chances of a below or above normal temperatures and above normal precipitation. Given the uncertainty of the temperature outlook, he is predicting a pretty active storm season.
Outlooks for temperature have us smack dab right in the middle of equal chances. There's warmer below to the south and then a little colder to the north. So we're kind of in the battleground, which means we'll probably have a few storm systems. And if you look over to the precipitation potential side, it's above normal. And, the second tier, so that's the 40th to 50th percentile above normal precip. So, we could have a little bit of rainfall or maybe even some snow hit the ground in that March timeframe, maybe even in early April. So, that's 3 months. So, you're going to get rain in there as well. But, above normal precip, that may bode well to maybe get a thaw on the ground. And it looks like we'll probably have at least one more event where, shovel a little snow for a good portion of the area, I would anticipate, especially with that colder last half of February. Once we get into March, though, the snow events are generally fleeting and typically not as deep. Those springtime systems, depending on if you're on the colder or warm side, they have a lot more energy as we get into that March time frame. So whatever it's doing is going to do a lot of it. So if you just, the potential is the frequency is low, but the potential impact is really high if we do get a snow event. So February is generally where we start to see the end of what we typically would get for snowfall. March is much lower.
With the traditional storm season right around the corner, Shaman reminds the first week of March is Severe Weather Preparedness Week.
The first week of March is always our Severe Weather Preparedness Week. And we always have a tornado drill on that first Tuesday of the month to coincide with the siren sounding at 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. on Tuesday of the first week of March, we're going to have our annual tornado drill. Well, your weather radios will go off. It'll be a weekly test. It won't be a tornado warning, but we want everybody to practice and prep up and go through their plans. Where am I going to go in a tornado? So that's coming up, a big awareness campaign. That's one of our big ones of the entire year.
Keep up with the latest in weather trends at weather.gov/Lincoln. The subject of data centers continues to garner plenty of attention. The University of Illinois Extension partnered with Prairie Rivers Network to offer 2 webinars on the topic in January, and another will be held later this month, says PRN's Rhonda Watts.
There's over 200 data centers in Illinois. Data centers have been around for a very long time. They originally started out as kind of just like an IT closet. So you would have servers and stuff in a small closet in a building. And now they have scaled all the way to hyperscale, where some of these facilities are taking up large tracts of land. So with that happening, obviously there's a lot of community concerns. There has been a lot of talk on the policy side up in Springfield. So we just wanted to bring the conversation to communities so they could ask the questions they have, but also open up that transparency a little bit, because a lot of this is going on kind of behind the scenes. And then communities are finding out about it once the development's kind of already moved along. So typically the Resilient Communities webinar, we try to do a different subject each month, but this was only supposed to be a 1-part series for data centers, and then we would typically move on to a different subject for the next month. But there was such an overwhelming amount of interest. Like I said, we had 500 registrants, which was massive, and we had people asking Extension and PRN individually questions about data centers. So the community was engaging us to open up the conversation, which led to us not only having part 1, but part 2, and now we are planning a part 3 on data centers in February.
The third webinar is February 24th. In honor of Abraham Lincoln's birthday, a free admission day is coming up for the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum in Springfield, where you can see a signed copy of the Emancipation Proclamation on display. The museum's Chris Wills says those types of documents require special care.
And in fact, there's a new twist on it this time around that's pretty interesting. But the basic idea is that every time you bring a document out into the light, you're damaging it just a little bit. And so we have to be very careful about how often we display really precious documents like the Gettysburg Address or the Emancipation Proclamation. Most of the time, they're in a climate-controlled vault in the dark where nothing bad is happening to them. But if we have it on display in a case in the museum, little by little by little, it's going to wear on those documents. But now we've gotten a special display case that is dark most of the time. So we have the document in it, but it's still protected from the light. And the only time it's visible is when a visitor comes up and presses a button to see it. And that way we can have the document available to the public for much, much longer, for weeks at a time instead of just days. But the actual amount of time it's exposed to the light is still very short because it's dark unless there's a person actually looking at it at that moment.
The free admission day is this Thursday, February 12th, Lincoln's birthday. More information at presidentlincoln.illinois.gov. USDA's Rural Development recently rolled out the Lender's Lens Dashboard, a data resource on RD commercial guaranteed loans with an emphasis on transparency. Rod Bain reports. Now for your local obituaries. Neil S. Nichols, 84, of Maroa, Illinois, passed away at 5:55 a.m. February 8th at HSHS St. John's Hospital in Springfield. Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton is in charge of arrangements. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Timothy Kirk Sinkoski, 68, of Maroa, passed away at 8:55 a.m. February 5th at the Carriages in Decatur with his wife and daughters by his side. Services will be 11 a.m. Thursday, February 12th at the Calvert and Wyckoff Funeral Home in Decatur with Pastor Shane Davis officiating. Burial will follow at Maroa Cemetery. Visitation will be 5 to 7 p.m. Wednesday, February 11th at the funeral home. The family entrusted Calvert Funeral Home in Maroa with the arrangements. Memorials may be directed to the Alzheimer's Association or Passion Community Church in Decatur. Billy Arlene Lauterbach Daniels, 99, of Normal, passed away from this life on February 3rd, 2026. Services will be 11 a.m. Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, today, at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton, with Scott Marsh officiating. Visitation will be 10 to 11 a.m. today at the funeral home. Graveside services will be at 2:30 p.m. Tuesday at Williamsfield Cemetery in Williamsfield. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be directed to the American Cancer Society. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Donna K. Worth, 79, of McLean, passed away at Carl Broman Medical Center on Thursday, January 29th. Cremation rites have been accorded. A private family celebration of life will be held. Memorials may be directed to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Savannah Guthrie says she and her siblings are at an hour of desperation. 10 days have passed, and the mother of the Today Show co-host is still missing. The status of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie is unknown, and her family is appealing to the public to come forward with any information that could prove helpful to law enforcement. The Justice Department is allowing members of Congress to review unredacted files relating to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. All is far from well and conditions getting worse in communist Cuba, where authorities are now warning airlines they may not be able to refuel on the island. The Trump administration has moved to cut off exports to Cuba, including oil exports from Venezuela. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 11 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 43. More details, srnnews.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt, and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW and all its digital platforms, the Clinton Lady Maroons gave the Mount Pulaski Lady Hilltoppers their first loss of the season, winning 49-36 in non-conference high school girls basketball action in Clinton on Monday night. Clinton entered the game with a record of 24-4 and had won 20 games in a row. The Lady Hilltoppers sat at an undefeated 25-0 before the game. Clara Dempsey opened the game, making 4 buckets from beyond the arc to give them a 14-9 lead after the first. Both teams scored 11 in the second quarter, but the Lady Maroons turned up the defensive heat from there, holding Mount Pulaski to just 5 points in the third. Dempsey led all scorers with 23 points for Clinton. Avery Smith added 12 points, including 7 made free throws in the second half. Carly Anderson scored 8 points. Mount Pulaski was led by Addison Brown, who scored 20 points, including 5 made buckets from distance. Allison Murphy scored 8, and Elena Martin had 4. With the win, Clinton improves to 25-4, while Mount Pulaski falls to 25-1. The Lady Maroons will host senior night during their last home game of the regular season on Wednesday as they take on the Cerro Gordo Bement Lady Broncos. Tip-off is at 7:15 p.m. Tune into the next Clinton Maroon sports broadcast when the girls take on either Maroa, Forsyth, or Sangamon Valley to kick off regionals on February 17th. Tip-off for that game is at 6 p.m. at El Paso Gridley. Hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Jaquan Johnson had 31 points, and Bradley scored the final 12 points in overtime to beat Belmont 95-84 on Monday night, in ending the Bruins' 9-game winning streak. Johnson also had 7 assists and 3 steals for the Braves, who improved to 17-9 and 10-5 in the Missouri Valley Conference. Alec Hubergest scored 6 3-pointers and scored 20. Timothy Vanderknapp sank 3 3-pointers and scored 15. Drew Charnowski led the way for the Bruins with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. They fall to 22-4 and 12-3 in the MVC. Tyler Lundblade added 16 points and 5 assists. Aiden Noyes had 14 points. Hubergest scored 9 points in the first half, and Bradley went into halftime trailing 33-31. Hubergest nailed a 3-pointer with 27 seconds left to force overtime, tied at 80. Vanderknapp hit a go-ahead 3-pointer to ignite the 12-0 game-ending run in the final 3 minutes of OT. A.J. Casey had 28 points to help Evansville end a 6-game losing streak with an 88-80 victory over Illinois State on Monday night. Casey added 5 rebounds for the Purple Aces, who improved to 6-19 and 2-12 in the Missouri Valley Conference. Bryce Quine scored 17 points, and Leaf Moeller hit 4 3-pointers and scored 16. Landon Moore topped the Redbirds with 16 points. They fall to 16-9 and 8-6 in the MVC. Tyreek Coleman scored 14, and Landon Wolf finished with 11 points and 9 rebounds. Evansville took the lead with 11 minutes and 51 seconds remaining in the first half and did not trail again. Casey led with 14 points for a 45-32 advantage at the break. Nick Claxton scored 28 points and had 10 rebounds to lead the Brooklyn Nets to a 123-113 win over the Chicago Bulls on Monday night. Noah Clowney added 20 points for Brooklyn, which won its second in a row. Drake Powell had 14 points off the bench. Rookies Danny Wolf and Nolan Trerer each had 13, and Zaire Williams added 11. The Nets won 3 of the 4 meetings between the Eastern Conference teams that are rebuilding. And Fernie Simon scored 23 points for Chicago, which lost its 5th straight. Colin Sexton scored 19 points off the bench, and Mattis Buzelis had 18. The Nets began the third quarter with a 14-5 spurt over the first 3 minutes to extend their advantage to 15 at 74-59, but Chicago responded with a 30-15 run over the final 9 minutes of the quarter to tie it at 89 entering the fourth. 2 free throws by Isaac Okoro 2 minutes into the fourth gave the Bulls their first lead since early in the second at 93-91. The Nets had a 12-6 spurt over the next 3 minutes to regain the advantage 103-99. The teams traded scores the rest of the way, with the most significant being Wolf's layup with 3:33 remaining and 2 free throws by Claxton on the next possession that extended Brooklyn's lead to 115-107. Both teams were shorthanded. The Nets didn't have leading scorer Michael Porter Jr. and rookie guard Igor Demin, while Chicago missed Zach Collins, Josh Giddey, Trey Jones, and Noah Asenge. The Bulls play at Boston on Wednesday night, while the Nets host Indiana on Wednesday night. Kansas delivered a shocking 82-78 upset over the number 1 Arizona on Monday at Fog Allen Fieldhouse as the Wildcats lost for the first time this season. Melvin Council Jr. and Flory Bidunga combined to score 32 of Kansas's 39 second-half points after it was announced just prior to tip-off that star guard and NBA draft prospect Darren Peterson would not play due to flu-like symptoms. Freshman Bryson Tiller had another strong outing in a big moment, and finished with 18 points and 8 rebounds for the number 9 Jayhawks. Tiller had his best game of the season last month against BYU when he scored 21 points, while Peterson missed a majority of the second half due to cramping. Kansas improves to 19-5 and 9-2 in the Big 12. They have won 8 consecutive games since losing to West Virginia on the road last month. The Jayhawks are just a game behind Arizona for first place in the Big 12 standings and improved to 57-0 when playing at home on Mondays under coach Bill Self. With the loss by the Wildcats, Miami at Ohio is the final undefeated team remaining in the sport. Arizona, who falls to 23-1 and 10-1 in the Big 12, was off to the best start in the Big 12 in Big 12 history before Kansas's victory. In scores from around the NBA last night, the Detroit Pistons beat the Charlotte Hornets 110-104. The Orlando Magic beat the Milwaukee Bucks 118-99, while the Miami Heat fell to the Utah Jazz 115-111. The Minnesota Timberwolves took down the Atlanta Hawks 138-116, while the Sacramento Kings fell to the New Orleans Pelicans 120-94. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Denver Nuggets 119-117, and the Golden State Warriors found the 1-point win over the Memphis Grizzlies 117-113. The Oklahoma City Thunder beat the LA Lakers 119-110, and the Portland Trail Blazers took down the Philadelphia 76ers 135-118. In NCAA men's basketball last night, number 17 St. John beat Xavier 87-82, and number 24 Louisville took down North Carolina State 118-77. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding